Yo, bonsoir tout le monde, ça qu'a fait, c'est Karel qui là, et bienvenue dans gros coquin chaîne événement ça. Moi, commencer saluer nous en créole, mais son événement qui a fait majoritairement en anglais. Son événement extraordinaire que moi-même m'a demandé ou même pour partager live là, partager événement pour tout le monde capable de ça pas le fait là. Puisque compétition, ça a pral une chance de récompenser 3 organisations dans 3 catégories différentes avec $150,000 américains yo chaque. Nous certain que ou même qui l'a cap gardé pral vraiment content qu'on est comment haïtien qui dans diaspora a choisi aider pays. So, welcome guys, welcome to Investor Tech 2021 Agribusiness Pitch Competition. My name is Karel Pedg. It's an honor for me to be your host tonight. The Diaspora Partnership Accelerator, DPA, is a pilot project designed to bring new voices and perspective to the Bureau of Humanitarian Assistance at the USAID to better identify and prioritize the humanitarian needs affecting vulnerable communities, but also to test an innovative partnership model with new and non-traditional actors. This competition is implemented in partnership with Haiti Renewal Alliance, which is an organization that promotes diaspora engagement for the sustainable development and investment in Haiti. That's what's up. The competition has 3 categories. Agribusiness, this is a pitch competition tonight, which is a combination of the words agriculture and business and refers to any businesses related to fishing, farming, and farming-related commercial activities. We have health. This is the competition next week. That include hospital, medical and dental practices, ambulance transportation, complementary medicine, and other health activities such as medical laboratories and scientific and research services across a range of organizations within the public, private, and voluntary sector. And also we got the last category, shelter. In 2 weeks, we're gonna have that pitch competition for you. Include housing development businesses which supports people affected by disasters and internally displaced people affected by conflict with the means to live in safe, dignified, and appropriate shelters, such as buildings and structure that provide shelter, privacy, and protection from danger and bad weather. So tonight, it's all about agribusiness. We have 5 organizations: Calibu, Friends of Matinua, Cmac, Haitian Resources Development Foundation, and IIT Levy. Those organizations will pitch the project in front of our judges, and only one will win $150,000. On October 19 is the health category pitch competition, as I said before, and October 26 is the shelter category pitch competition. I know you're all excited as I am to meet the contestants, but also m'vle connaître que après une fin fait tout pitch ça yo, les juges fin voter ou même qui pral regarder qui dans diaspora et qui en Haïti a capable voter pour plus bon projet que nous penser qui gagne dans catégorie. So now, before we meet the contestants, we meet the judges, it's an honor for me to introduce to you Mr. Mike Desisti of USAID for his welcome remarks.
The notion that unity is strength, so central to Haiti's origin story, is an ideal that underpins USAID's unwavering commitment to the nation and its people. Even with recovery and rebuilding efforts underway, we continue to work collaboratively with our partners and diaspora communities to meet the needs of the Haitian people, both in the short and the long term. USAID's Bureau for Humanitarian Assistance, better known as BHA, provides life-saving assistance to the world's most vulnerable people in the face of conflict and aftermath of natural disasters, including the devastating earthquake that occurred in Haiti in mid-August. But humanitarian needs such as food, water, shelter, emergency health care, sanitation and hygiene, and critical nutrition services consistently outstrip resources available. This is why innovative approaches and new partnerships, including the one with diaspora that brings us together here today, are so critical. Diaspora engage as humanitarian actors in a number of ways, through transnational social networks, transfer of specialized skills, sharing of knowledge in local context, and remittances. Partnerships with diaspora can not only advance efforts to make aid delivery and impact more effective, but they help bridge the humanitarian development nexus in order to achieve more sustainable outcomes. Today, you'll get a glimpse of one of BHA's diaspora partnerships in action. Through the Diaspora Partnership Accelerator, or DPA for short, the Bureau for Humanitarian Assistance is funding the implementation of diaspora-led projects in 3 sectors: shelter, health, and agribusiness. The Diaspora Partnership Accelerator is an 18-month initiative designed to pilot innovative and collaborative partnerships between BHA and diaspora groups. In conjunction with local actors and affected communities in Haiti, Haitian diaspora organizations identified and designed innovative solutions for some of the nation's most pressing challenges related to disaster risk reduction and humanitarian assistance. From 52 diaspora organizations that applied, 13 were shortlisted for this competition. These shortlisted projects demonstrated innovation, the promise to deliver significant impact, and proposed a well-defined strategy to achieve objectives. Beyond the Diaspora Partnership Accelerator, BHA is dedicated to engaging with diaspora to leverage their innovation, skills, and resources to better address the humanitarian challenges facing our world today. We've established a growing team in the Bureau specialized on building bridges with diaspora communities and on expanding program opportunities around diaspora humanitarianism. Across all of our programs and activities, BHA aims to create openings for improved coordination between diaspora humanitarians and institutional humanitarian partners. I want to applaud all of the contestants who have worked tirelessly to design activities relevant to the needs of Haitian people that are doable within the allotted project timeframe. Each of you have earned your spot among the pioneers of this innovative initiative. With all sincerity, you are all winners in that regard. And for the select few who receive additional support to implement their projects, take this opportunity to show the world that diaspora community engagement and humanitarian assistance is possible, essential, and most importantly, impactful in both the short and the long term with sustainability in mind. Let me close by reiterating USAID's heartfelt gratitude to the contestants and organizers of today's event. By working together, exchanging ideas, and contributing to a collective outcome without insisting on owning it, we can build a stronger Haiti together. Unity is strength. Thank you and good luck.
All right. What a great presentation. But it was on video. Now we have to meet the judges live. But I need to really thank Mr. Mike. This is Steve for his welcome remarks. And effectivement, l'union fait la force. Et c'est dans l'union fait la force que nous avons changé Haïti. Et Haïti besoin de diaspora ali. Et compétition, ça définitivement son façon pour bailler diaspora opportunité pour implémenter projet dans le pays côté que code lombrit maman ou bien papa yo. I know the Creole is not really your languages, some of the judges, but hey, it's a pleasure for me to have you all here tonight for the agribusiness competition. So I'm gonna I'll let you say a few words just to say hello to the audience and the contestants. So what's going on? What's up? How are you? Ladies first. I'm going to start with Jessica. Hello, Jessica.
Hi everyone. So my name is Jessica Howard. I'm on the Civil Society and Localization team in the Bureau for Humanitarian Assistance at USAID. And there, it's my job to help ensure that our humanitarian partnerships prioritize local voices. My background is in international education and civil society development, and I love thinking about new ways to solve old problems. So I'm really happy to be here tonight and look forward to learning from you and wish all of the teams the best of luck. Thanks.
Definitely. Thank you, Jessica. Evelyn, what's up?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Bonsoir. I'm very
Bonsoir.
excited to be with you here this evening. I know this is going to be a very wonderful event. This is one of a kind event. I work with USAID. I'm a diaspora specialist, and I am part of a team that's continuously looking of innovative ways of integrating diaspora communities in humanitarian assistance. And so to all the contestants out there, we're really looking forward to see your pictures and we wish you all the best. Bonne chance tout le monde.
Bonne chance, merci beaucoup. Hey, Daniela.
Hi, everybody. My name is Daniela Villacres, and I'm the acting team lead for the diaspora team, and also the activity manager for this project. So I have been heavily involved from when it was a little baby. We were just getting the idea off the ground, working with HRA, working with all of the HA colleagues who've been so supportive of this. So I am so excited that the night is finally here. We can finally kick off and see the first round of pitches. And I am really looking forward to all of the ideas and to seeing the contestants tonight. So thank you very much.
Definitely. Ito?
Hello, all. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be with you all today. We're excited to have this opportunity. Ito Kenum here. I'm with PM Consulting Group, and we actually are the company that has been able to find HRA with a combination with Daniela and her team. We're looking forward to this event. We're excited to make sure that we select the best company to represent this initiative and this effort. So we're extremely excited and we're thankful for this opportunity. Appreciate it.
All right, Raymond.
Hey, Kyle, great to be here. So I'm representing HRA. I'm an HRA board member, but on my day job, I'm a senior client strategist with BNY Well and Wealth Management. So really dealing with some of the conversation we're having here, helping business owners and investment and wealth management. But more importantly, I think we've know that one of the challenges for to spur the Haitian economy is direct impact investment of capital. So I think this competition does that. So we're looking forward to hearing from the different participants. So it's a competition. Let's get going.
That's it. All right. Toute competition est règle. All competitions have rules. So now it's time for us to present to you comment compétition a déroulé, qui règle compétition, comment que li pral fait et comment justement organisation qui gen pi bon pitch selon juge yo assoya ap sorti avec $150,000 américains. Let's watch that video presenting you the competition rules.
The winner of the competition will be the organization which accumulates the most amount of points. The maximum total score is 200 points. 150 points allocated from the Technical Evaluation Committee, TEC, and 50 points allocated from the public voting. The Technical Evaluation Committee will account for 75% while the public vote will count for 25% of the total score. The Technical Evaluation Committee is composed of 5 judges. Each judge will tally their score for each project after each pitch. Scores will be calculated based on 10 key indicators for the project pitch evaluation: assessment and scope of needs, engagement, management, innovation, feasibility, planning, project impact, disaster risk reduction, sustainability, and presentation. Each criterion will receive a score using a 3-point Likert scale: 1 equals disagree, 2 equals neutral, 3 equals agree, for a total score of 30 points. The judges' scores will be tabulated to give the pitch a total score of maximum 150 points. The public will have an opportunity to vote for their favorite project after each virtual pitch event. The voting process will start at midnight after each event and will last 5 days. A score of up to 50 will be included in the final score based on the accumulated vote from the public. Highest vote scores 50. Second highest vote scores 45. Third highest vote scores 40. Fourth highest vote scores 35. Fifth highest vote scores 30. The public score of 50 will be added to the TEC score, 150 points, for a total score of 200. Let's consider two projects, Project X and Project Y. After its presentation, Project X has been given the following scores by the judges. Judge 1, 25, Judge 2, 30, Judge 3, 28, Judge 4, 20, Judge 5, 17. Project X accumulates a total of 120 points. After its presentation, Project Y has been given the following scores by the judges. Judge 1, 20, Judge 2, 18, Judge 3, 27, Judge 4, 25, Judge 5, 26. Project Y accumulates a total of 116 points. After the public vote, Project Y finishes second with a score of 45 points. Project X finishes fourth with a score of 35 points. At the end, Project X accumulates a total of 155 points, and Project Y accumulates a total of 161 points. Although Project X has a better score from the TEC, Project Y ends up winning because it has been voted more by the public. For more information, visit investortank.org.
Alright, et pour Haïtiens qui a suivi yo, qui t'a même font une traduction rapide pour nous par rapport à règle compétition, li extrêmement simple. Nous gagnons tout participants yo, aujourd'hui on gagne 5 qui yo même pour le présenter projet yo ou même by juge a bien chance poser question pour yo regarder justement par rapport à tout critères que yo gagne yo, qui projet qui plus intéressant. Juge a voté sur un total de 150 points. Après ça, reste 50 points puisque c'est 200 grand total là, votre public là 50, votre juge 150, qui pourra le permettre que nous déterminer qui est qui gagne. Ça extrêmement important parce que vote va commencer à minuit à soir, après événement ça fini, et il a duré 5 jours. Donc, on est capable de chance de voter, et l'organisation autour a chance capable de faire promotion sur social media pour les gens capable de voter pour eux, parce que le projet est intéressant, et c'est des projets que vous allez implémenter dans des communautés en Haïti. Et moi-même, moi, super excité pour moi ça. So now the judges are ready. It's time to kick off the competition. Let me remind you of 5 contestants today in the agribusiness category. We have Calibu, Friends of Matinua, Cmac, Haitian Resources Development Foundation, and IIT Levy. And the first organization to pitch is Calibu, but now there's a video, which is a presentation of the project, and after they will pitch to the judges. Good luck, Calibu.
Growing up in Haiti, I know that we had hardworking people and resilient people. However, many times we lacked opportunity. Hey guys, my name is Beverly. I am the founder and CEO of Calibu. Knowing that Haiti was a major coffee producing nation in the 1900s, I was always wondering, well, why isn't Haitian coffee well renowned today? And maybe we could use that to create sustainable income for Haitians and also for everyone in our supply chain. That's how it all started. From our apartment, our basement, and now in New Jersey in our first warehouse, where we get to package and ship every single order, creating jobs also here in New Jersey. Every time you get to enjoy that cup of coffee, know that it's more than coffee. It's also making a difference. Hi everyone, my name is Beverly Malbranche. I am the founder and CEO of Calibu. And Calibu brings the centuries-old coffee and cacao flavors of Haiti to the world. So what is the problem? Many of you know that Haiti was a major coffee producer back in the 1900s, but those numbers have been declining steadily. And that has been due to multiple factors, such as trade embargoes, years of dictatorship, lack of capital for our farmers, and of course, competition from other coffee producing nations. Our goal at Calibu is to find the solution, is to create demand for Haitian coffee and cacao around the world, starting with the US and Canada. Now, you might ask, what are the feasibility of this project? Right now, we have sent over $100,000 directly in the supply chain in Haiti. That means buying directly from over 1,000 coffee and cacao producers, and also other folks in the supply chain who help pick the beans, roast, and package. So we are creating demand for Haitian coffee and cacao, and by rebranding the country as a producer of specialty coffee and craft chocolate. As most mission-based projects need funds to sustain themselves, we are able to be self-sustaining in a way that we are able to generate revenue that benefit the farmers, where they get a fair trade for their beans, and our customers are satisfied with the product that we bring them on a monthly basis. So the market for coffee and cacao is very huge. It's almost $100 billion. And there is a niche of customers who focus on impact, specialty product, and they love knowing that they are working with a brand that gets to make a difference one cup at a time. So we know that there is a big opportunity for Haiti, and we are so close to the US market. For example, we are so much closer than Brazil, the largest coffee producer. We are able to reach this market faster. Our revenue model, we sell online to customers directly, but also to coffee shop and different wholesale partners. We also do a lot of trade shows and fairs to make sure we are getting the awareness that Haiti's coffee and cacao deserve. So currently, we've been nominated as part of New Voices, Taraji P. Henson, Beyonce's website for the Black Parade mentioned us last year. And what I am mostly proud of is the fact that we have scaled from 2,000 pounds to 17,000 pounds per year in 11 months. So in 2019, about 2,000 pounds were purchased from Haitian farmers, and last year 17,000 pounds. This year over 22,000 pounds, and that's more and more money going straight to Haiti. Over $100,000 have been sent to Haiti to purchase our coffee and our cacao. The use of funds, if we're doing this competition, currently we have to secure our coffee for next year. As a matter of fact, it's harvest season in Haiti. And last year we sold out multiple times, which is counterproductive because we are working so hard to market Haitian coffee and more people are discovering our brand. So we cannot afford to be out of these delicious Haitian coffee beans. So with your funds, we'll be able to secure more coffee and cacao from Haiti, get better equipment to increase our production, and of course, invest some more in marketing and pay our staff. So the team, actually, there are many more of us, but we have been very determined to see Haiti rebranded as a major producer of specialty coffee and cacao and creating long-term sustainable income for our farmers and everyone in the supply chain. We have left our corporate career after college to focus solely on this business, and we are the perfect team to bring it to fruition. So we would love for you to help us in rebranding Haiti and bringing Haitian coffee back to the world. Thank you for your time.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. You know, I was saying congratulations, good job, great presentation, Beverly. And now, judges, Beverly is all yours. If you have questions for her, and I'm pretty sure that she's ready to answer you. And let's move on.
I'll start if
Yes,
Beverly.
please, Daniela.
Hi, Beverly. It's nice to meet you, and thank you so much for your presentation. I've learned a lot. It's very interesting, and I do have one question for you. Can you briefly explain how you understand your project to relate to humanitarian assistance and/or disaster risk reduction, as opposed to economic development? Thank you.
Sure. Just make sure. So, how does my project focus on humanitarian assistance, not only economic development?
That's right.
So,
humanitarian assistance or disaster risk reduction.
Sure. So basically, I started the business in order to really see long-term opportunities in Haiti. And our team has been very dedicated. So thankfully, our farms are outside of Port-au-Prince. So that gives us some peace of mind in case of political crisis. But when it comes to natural disasters, thankfully, most of our farms have never been affected. And we've also found way outside of Port-au-Prince to bring our product out of the country. So those are ways that we get to mitigate risk. I'm not sure if that answers specifically the question, but in terms of managing risk and natural disasters, we've made sure that we talk frequently with the team in Haiti, know if there's some specific needs. But so far, we've been lucky to be able to go outside of local plans and risky areas.
Thank you, Beverly.
Good. All right. Who's next?
All right, I'll go next.
Okay.
Thank you, Beverly. Great presentation. So I have a question. What you're proposing, the model of business you're proposing, is something that we've seen with other organizations that are very socially aware, right? Where they pay farmers upfront and they try to cut out the middleman and try to get the farmers the best price that they can for their crop. So my question for you is, how then is your project different and innovative compared to others that have come before you?
Sure. So the way we are innovative is a lot of it is part of our. What we have a lot of our team members focus specifically on product development, and we are always searching for products that people are looking for, whether it's impact minded customer, health coaches, customers, and we are sourcing those specifically from Haiti. So we do make sure that there's a need in the market, and we are able to get that directly from Haiti, and that's how we bring our product. And we make sure that besides just buying, we are also educating the farmers we work with. We have sponsored young agronomists from Port-au-Prince to go in Limonade, where most of the cacao come from, to train the farmers on better farming practices. And right now, I'm working with the coffee cooperative to get them fair trade and USDA organic certified. So it's not just buying the product, it's about establishing a supply chain that 20 years from now, Haiti will be a well-renowned exporter of coffee and cacao.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll go. How you doing, Beverly? Thank you so much for the presentation. It was great. I definitely heard through your presentation that there is 100,000 that you invested back into the supply chain. But beyond the supply chain, as far as the farmers that you have or work with, the ones that you may not work with, what % of profits have went directly to the farmers that have helped provide the coffee? And are you also assisting or reinvesting in farmers outside of their supply chain?
So currently, over 50% are going straight to the farmers. We work directly with the cooperative that have small-scale farmers all throughout the country, and most of the fund goes into buying the beans directly from them. So currently, we only invest in the farmers we purchase from, which means like the coffee and cacao. Hopefully, as we grow, we can even import more product from Haiti. But basically, most of the funds are going toward those farming
community specifically, because we have found some of them already had like a small milling machine, not much was invested in equipment. But I think for us to keep on scaling, we will need to do that eventually. But we've been very conscious of our funds and making sure that the first priority is that people get a fair trade for their beans, so that encourage them to keep on producing year after year.
Great. Jessica?
Thanks. Yeah, it's great to hear so much about the farmers. I have a follow-up question really about your work with them specifically. Because you are dedicated to investing resources into your farming community, I'd like to hear more about sort of the vetting process. How are you ensuring that your coffee beans are coming from really these small-scale producers as opposed to a few larger producers who may already dominate the market there?
Sure, great question. To be very honest, Haiti doesn't really have large-scale producers. It's mostly small-scale farmers because we do so much of subsistence farming. People usually they have a couple of coffee trees, then they have yucca and other produce around it that help them live throughout the year because they get the money from coffee. So really, the goal is to work with cooperatives because you cannot have, let's say, 1,000 coffee milling machine, 1,000 drying processors. You have to work with a cooperative that can centralize all those farmers in one place and have a quality control process to make sure that the product are getting vetted properly, and it's going to be good for export. So mostly Haiti has mostly small scale farmers, whether it's coffee or cacao, not really large scale farmers like countries like Brazil, for example.
Great, thank you.
All right, Beverly.
Yes, Raymond.
Absolutely. So great presentation. Quick two-part question. One, it's really an innovation. So what really distinguishes Calibu from the other, coffee company out there, right? Mm-hmm. And then the last one is kind of thinking about the bottom line. Mm-hmm. I saw that you are paying the farmers about $3.60 per pound, where the industry standard is about $1.40 per pound. So kind of understanding how's the bottom line since you are investing the funds yourselves back into the supply chain. So understanding scalability, your profit margin, how you plan to ensure to continue that with this infusion of capital.
Sure. So basically, when it comes to the scalability, we do know that small scale producers don't have an economies of scale, but they can produce by the tons, and that can reduce the cost. Our goal is that with more demand, we will be able to reduce some of the cost, with our economies of scale. Because, for example, what also drives up the price per pound is because resources are scarce. By the time one farmer carry their load all the way to the cooperative, that cost they're gonna pay for gas, they're gonna be able to pay for fuel, and all of those drive up the cost. So our goal is to have close relationship with the farmers to be able not to drive down the cost where it's not a fair trade deal, but where it's better for all of us. And in terms of profitability, we are profitable, and we've been able to do that by also having all the product in our stores and the way we brand it as a specialty coffee. That's what helps us differentiate against other coffee, and the fact that people are very curious. Most people haven't tried coffee from Haiti. Most people have tried Brazilian or Colombian coffee or something like that. So when people hear about Haiti, they get excited, especially with Black Lives Matter movement last year that helped us get a lot of press. And people will, pay the price for good coffee. We do value quality, but knowing that their dollars get to make an impact.
That's good. All right. So good luck, Beverly, and good job, judges. I know it's a really hard job for you tonight because all those projects are really interesting and valuable for the future of Haiti. Thank you, Beverly. And we're gonna now take a short break and then get back to the second pitch tonight.
As you can see, we're currently in WFP World Food Program's Central Warehouse in Port-au-Prince. It stores rice, yellow split peas, vegetable oil, and other food commodities that will be distributed to communities affected by the earthquake. As USAID DART logistician, I'm supporting partners like WFP Logistics Sector to coordinate partners so they have access to common transport and logistics services to maximize efficiencies and ensure that supplies get to affected communities as quickly as possible. So if you would like to help, first of all, thank you. The best way to help is to donate cash to organizations that are already on the ground and already working together. While well-intentioned, donating hard goods from overseas may disrupt operations that are already ongoing and might not meet the needs that are actually on the ground.
C'est l'important et plus qu'important pour une zone comme Lagona développer propre culture parce que c'est un zile et puis il est difficile les pas gain manger pour madame Sarah déplacer ici pour aller acheter sous grand tête des fois bâtiment qu'on couler avec eux et des fois manger yo venir surtout légumes et toujours vitamines yo qu'on volatile. L'école communautaire Matinua a pour répondre avec obstacle ça. En premier lieu, nous-mêmes dans l'école communautaire Matinua nous pas de gain de l'eau. Et grâce avec supporter nous joignent et support dans meilleur pour nous fouiller de l'eau pour traverser sortir dans une zone qui plus bas pour venir dans l'école là pour aider non seulement nous faire jardin et pour aider moun dans communauté à joindre de l'eau pour faire jardin et puis pour faire l'autre activité. Pour l'école là, nous avons en pile année depuis nous avons fait production légumes surtout et nous produisons plus passer 1300 jardins dans l'école yo et dans jardin famille yo. Côté ti moun yo ensemble avec famille yo joine bon jan légumes pour yo manger. L'école là qu'on bail l'école yo, famille yo, château d'eau pour yo kembe de l'eau, pour yo faire jardin, ça c'est premier travail nous te fait.
Nous faisons jardin avec Timounio. Nous, tout enseignement, nous baillons plus concret.
Pour nous supporter la production locale, c'est aider agriculteurs pour produire propre produit par eux. Et puis nous-mêmes en tant que paysans, en tant que moun lagonave, pour nous-mêmes pour nous manger produits locaux qui gagnent plus de vitamines côté yo pas passer misère. Vision nous c'est arriver et mettez plus jardin plus structure côté nous joindre de l'eau nous fouiller puits pour nous joindre de l'eau pour moun yo nous gain l'idée soit pour nous gain environ 8 communautés côté qui gagne un magasin côté y a vendre légumes frais seulement côté moun yo ka venir pour acheter légumes pour manger légumes frais mais c'est légumes qui sorti dans communauté c'est légumes qui sorti dans la gonave.
Bonsoir, I'm Cmac from Friends of Matinua. Our project, Season of Solidarity, Planting the Missing Market, is a community-driven effort to stimulate the local economy and redress a food system that is not equitable. Imagine being a market woman, waking up at 2 in the morning to make a dangerous trip over Haiti's land and sea, all the way into the capital for almost everything your community eats. At times, political unrest and natural disasters completely cut off your food supply. What you do manage to get is less nutritious, more expensive, is still not enough to feed your community. This is the reality for over 130,000 people living on Lagonave, where deforestation has long played their ability to grow food locally. Without trees, rainfall is rare, resulting in notoriously long drought seasons. The land is barren because the soil is eroding and exhausted. Our solution addresses all of these challenges. First, We will expand our infrastructure to ensure access to water, even during droughts, allowing more farmers to plant year-round on more land. We will continue teaching farmers how to replenish their most important resource, their soil, and we will accurately create the space that unites the key players in every food system: the grower, the seller, and finally, the consumer. Less than 7% of Laganav is farmable. We know it's not just what we grow, but how we grow it. What we're doing works because we take care of the soil. Terracing and other organic climate resilient techniques keep water in the soil and trees free of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Composting, permaculture, and agroforestry all return nutrients to the soil. Through our work, 1,300 families are already growing food in their backyard. Now they need somewhere to sell it. We are building farm stands to make that more affordable. Quality produce accessible to customers, creating opportunities for vendors to work in better condition, with managers keeping the space clean and well run. What sets us apart is that we address the entire food system. We're positioned to have immediate, direct impact by transforming how food is grown, how it gets to the market, and how it is sold. Consumers eat fresher, more affordable food and skip fewer meals. Composting returns organic matter back into the soil, keeping an effective cycle in motion. We have been pursuing our mission to model the growth that people can achieve in their local environment for 25 years. Our community dialogue practices yield true changes because solutions emerge from Ghanaians themselves, whose lived experiences, cultural wisdom, and buy-in guide the problem solving. With your funding, our 8 farm stands will be well positioned to attract 40 community members. The next phase is to spread the solution across Saganaw through our model network, which is currently 70 communities strong. And we know our systemic approach will be replicable in other communities throughout Haiti. By making markets local and more accessible, Haiti's currencies stretches further, increasing buying power and driving up consumption. As farmers gain local access to crucial resources, production expands to meet consumer demand. We will place each market stand in a prime location using our network to organize committees and draw in customers. Each stand and water kiosk will collect user fees. We have 25-year record of launching cooperatives for farmers and artisans. We won $150,000 for publishing Creole children's book, as well as awards from the Ministry of Education, a Caribbean-wide street printing competition, and the Library of Congress. And we've gotten news coverage from major news outlets. Our evidence-based practices have been documented by the Art Center and MIT. Our team is all Haitian, all local, and experienced in growing in Lagana's environment. Thousands of Ghanaians feel forced to migrate to make their living elsewhere. Your funding will accelerate a new cycle where they can leverage their own resource, their water, their soil, labor, and local ties to stay, restore, and sustain their community. Thank you.
All right. Congratulations, Jemima Douillon from Friends of Matinua. And I'm pretty sure that people of Tagunav are really proud of you. Now it's going to be the time for the judges to ask you some questions. And we're going to start with Daniela.
Great. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation this evening. A quick question about the sustainability plan for your project. Could you please say a bit more about the plan, and for example, for the water towers or some of the other equipment, how will you plan to maintain and repair it, for example? But not just the towers, all aspects of the project. Thank you.
Great. That's a great question. So what makes our project really great, and the reason why I really believe in it, is because we've already been doing that work for so many years, and we already have a plan in place to help maintain the systems. And we also use and employ community members to help sustain every aspect of the project. So essentially what we're able to do is every time we, for example, work in a community or with a family or with a school, we give them the tools to maintain and sustain those resources so that they're able to scale the project and also make sure that it is last longing.
All right. Evelyn, you have a question?
Yes. Thank you so much. Great presentation.
Thank you.
So you mentioned that the population that you're targeting for this project is a community that for a long time has been obtaining food from outside and bringing it in, and you would like to change that. But as you know, changing the way people do things can be quite challenging, and even just changing their perspectives about how they obtain food. How do you ensure that your community will buy into this project that you're proposing?
So the great thing is we don't really have so much buy-in because there's a demand for this service already. We know that people in the community need a space to sell their products because we have an intimate relationship with those people, and we actually work with those community members daily. So we understand that there is a large need for customers and farmers and families to have a space where they can access food that is fresh, where they don't have to rely on merchants going to the capital and making that long journey just to get one plantain or a bag of rice, and they can do that in their own communities and feel more self-reliable. So that's why we're super excited to have this going.
Thank you.
Jessica?
Yeah, thanks. I'll echo also the appreciation for the presentation. It sounds like what you're describing is really a long-term investment in the community. It takes a long time to develop agricultural systems. It takes a long time to enrich the soil. And because you are dependent on growing seasons, how long do you expect it to take for the project to really get up and running and to really become self-sustaining?
That's a great question. So as I said in the presentation, we already have families, over 1,000 families who are already growing their food. We've been teaching gardening techniques and agricultural techniques to people in the community for a very long time. So we're almost at the next phase now where we just need to build the farm stands and create the infrastructure for people to interact and really have money come in and stay in the community. That way, when people grow food in their own backyards or through a school or through a church, they have a space to essentially make money and also put money back in their own communities. So we have a plan that is already in motion, and we just need more support to create an infrastructure for people to actually sell what they're already growing at home.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for me?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. Wonderful. Just a question regarding the use of this funding. So of course, we know that 2 towers and 8 farm stands will not be enough to sustain the community long term. Mm-hmm. So what is the plan of action beyond this funding, and what steps will be taken to make sure that the model could be replicated throughout the land?
That's an excellent question. So part of our plan is for us to ensure that we can scale this project and that we can replicate it in other communities. And we've been doing that with our other projects, like our education project that we have ongoing for over 20 years. So we know that with the proper training and the proper resources, we'll be able to scale this project. So as I said, right now we're hoping to reach 40 communities, and in the future, we want to reach over 70 and even expand beyond Laguna, because it's not the only place that has this issue in Haiti. In fact, many communities have a lot of issues and are cut off from resources when things happen, like a protest or a natural disaster. So it would be really great to, encourage local production of goods and have communities be more self-sustaining as a whole.
So one last question, just trying to understand the focus on the farming stands. Like why the focus on the farming stands versus the traditional market? Because it seems like it's a dual focus that kind of takes away from, the primary focus.
Right. So the issue right now is that there's not enough space for people to sell their products. And what already exists is not very sanitary, and it is not something that people... They go because they have to. If they had someone that was better equipped, that had a system that will contribute to the economy and to their livelihood and to their family structure, it would be much better for them to develop as a community. So like you're saying, there's already some places, but there's no organized way that this is currently working. And we're wanting to provide that for people and really support them in doing so, in having just clean and fresh food. That is so important for even kids to, when they go to school, or for parents or teachers or anyone really, to have access to clean food that is delicious and nutritious and also organic. So that's our plan. Thank you.
That's great. That was Jemima Douillon for Friends of Matinua, our second contestant tonight. We have 3 more to go, but also remember, nous capables de voter tout de suite après juge fin voter à minuit, ou même on capable de voter jusqu'au 17 octobre pour projet qu'on pense qui est intéressant et qui mérite joindre $150,000 américains pour être capable d'implémenter en Haïti. Nous avons 3 catégories, jeudi nous avons agribusiness et semaine prochaine nous avons santé et puis le 26 nous avons shelters. Nous avons tourné un petit moment pour 3e participant nous à soir.
Our goal right now as a DART is to work with our partners and work with the government to get what hasn't been identified, humanitarian aid sectors that have been identified, get that out as quickly as we can. One example is over the weekend and today we have provided resources to the World Food Program. They are currently, at this moment, distributing food to over 5,000 people in Manich. This is an area we traveled out over the weekend. We are also providing resources to Catholic Relief Services and Mercy Corps, again, to provide most supplies that are needed for those most vulnerable as we speak. We are in the process of working urgently to transport supplies with our DoD colleagues, Coast Guard, Department of Defense, food, hygiene kits, plastic sheeting needed for temporary shelters. And we've been doing that for the last few days, and we'll continue that for the next few weeks.
Hi, I'm Christina, and I'm an advisory board member of IIT Levy. I'm humbled to be telling the story of a group of young Haitians who decided to use their talents to help their communities succeed. Their character, integrity, and drive was noticed, and the board of directors of IIT Levy decided to support them in helping them achieve their goals. In less than a year, they were able to build a sustainable chicken farm where they fabricate their own chicken feed using local crops. So the team quickly realized that people were traveling to other states to find goods like lettuce and fish. And they decided to build an aquaponic farm where they could bring these goods to the local market. They were able to successfully build out a prototype hydroponic system. And if we win $150,000 provided by USAID, we'll be able to build out this innovative aquaponic system that you're watching currently on the screen, where they will use fish waste to grow the plants, and the water will recirculate, eliminating the need for an irrigation system to plow the land and the use of fertilizers and pesticides. This system consists of a hatchery, a nursery, a fish pound, and it will be able to produce 20,000 pounds of tilapia per year and 80,000 heads of lettuce per year. Their goal is to build out a system that can be replicated in even the most remote areas of the country, to help farmers move from an archaic subsistence farming system to building out a profitable business venture.
There we go. Is my mic unmuted? Good. Nous, c'est oiseau. Même si nous plions, nous pas jamais crasés. The first time I heard this Haitian proverb was actually in Léogane, where a group of farmers sung this proverb as they worked. The name IIT Levy was inspired by this Haitian plant called oiseau. And we believe, just as this plant, Haiti can bend, but we'll sure rise again. Good evening, everyone. I am Christina Jean-Louis, and I'm excited to share a bit more about IIT Levy and our innovative aquaponic food production system. I'm a board member here and an expert in international development. As for IIT Levy, we're actually inspired by countries like Rwanda and Singapore, where in less than a generation, they were able to transform the way their countries worked through effective leadership. That's why our mission at IIT Levy is to build up local leaders in HISH, and through upskilling, reskilling, and excuse me, and changing their behaviors, especially as it pertains to development. Which leads us to our why. Why adopt this aquaponic food production system? 60% of people living in Haiti are completely reliant on our farmers. And to put it simply, our farmers are struggling to reap a harvest, struggling to care for their families, struggling to survive. There is little to no resources, a lack of irrigation, you name it, the list goes on and on, which led us to research this and adopt this aquaponic food production system. This is one of the highest yielding agricultural practices out there. And we're happy to announce that it's not only feasible, it's scalable, innovative, and sustainable. It's feasible in the sense that we've done a lot of hard work with our team in HISH to build out similar projects, so we are confident that we can see this through. It's scalable. All we need is a small bit of land, and we know we can replicate this in various areas across the country. It's innovative. The farmers no longer need to break their backs plowing the land. You don't even need soil to grow these plants, and it's sustainable. In a year's time, we know we can produce up to 20,000 pounds of tilapia and over 80,000 heads of lettuce. So how does the system actually work? There are actually 3 biological components to the system: bacteria, plants, and the fish. So in essence, the fish are fed, the fish then produce waste. This is actually filtered out to the crops to help them grow. The crops produce oxygen, which is filtered back to the fish, allowing both the fish and the plant to thrive. But why are we the best ones for this job? So our competitive advantage really lies in a cohesive, talented team that we've worked really hard to build throughout the past couple of years. We have strong buy-in from the community, and we have tool system and expertise to see this through. As for our milestones, we've been in the game for about a decade now, and just this past year, we're able to win a number of awards and challenges, one with GCell, another with Project One Way. We're able to build out 4 successful duck farms, 1 sustainable chicken farm, and a hydroponic farm, which is already growing plants as we speak. As for where are we going to actually sell these goods to? So within a 50-mile radius of where we're at, we've already identified over 200 resellers, 30 restaurants, and 15 supermarkets. And everybody we've spoken to has actually been really excited because HISH is largely a herding community. So the idea of these plants growing right in their hometown brought them so much pride. So how will we generate revenue from this project? Basically, in 1 year, we know that we can produce up to 130,000. We know that we can sell $130,000 worth of fish and lettuce. With the profit that we get from selling these goods, we know that we can potentially replicate this model in various areas across the country. As for the $150,000, so commercial systems like this usually run for about $115,000. So about 80% of it will go directly towards project costs. This will go to things like building a well, buying machinery, employing about 25 people to really get this started. And the remaining 20% will go toward things like overhead and contingencies. And finally, this is our team. We are led by Dr. Janu, and we are our lead agricultural engineer, Evaldi Jeune, will actually be spearheading this project, along with a number of other farmers that we've been working with for a number of years in the area. But if you remember anything from this presentation, I know a lot of us asked the question of how can we help Haiti? At IIT Levy, we really believe that true sustainability is only brought about by building up the capacity of our local leaders. And that's why we need your support for our farmers and their families to thrive. Thank you.
All right, congratulations, Christina. This was a great presentation for IIT Levy. And effectivement, Haiti, our resilience, nous c'est ozo, nous pas casser. And great presentation, by the way. Judges, we're going to start with Daniela. Daniela, you have a question, followed by Jessica.
Great, thank you so much for the presentation. I do have a question. Your project, it proposes an integrated agribusiness model with many moving parts, many different technical components. So I was wondering if you could say more. You had a slide on the comparative advantage of your project, but I was wondering if you could say a bit more about that and what steps you've taken or what actions you will take to ensure that you can implement this project successfully, given all the moving parts.
Yes, so we've done a lot of work with a team in HISH to build up their capacity to actually do this project. For the past couple of years with the duck farm that we've done and the chicken farm. And right before this, about 2 months prior, we built out a hydroponic system, which is similar to the aquaponic, but only using water and not the ponds. And we're already growing plants through this. We have a number of farmers that we're also working with in the area that while we're going through these systems, we have a teaching model. So while we've gone through this hydroponic plant and built it and it's ready growing goods, we're already training folks up in how to use and how to be successful at this aquaponic system. And of course, we've also gotten help from other experts abroad and in various places within our community.
Jessica?
Yeah, thank you also for the presentation. So I'm in the Bureau for Humanitarian Assistance. I'm thinking about disaster risk reduction in an environment that is susceptible to earthquakes and hurricanes and other impacts of climate change. How are you mitigating the environmental risks associated with the business concept?
One of the big things that we're doing again is around preparedness. So we're trying to make sure that the people in this community are prepared to, if a hurricane or an earthquake comes on, what do they know what they're supposed to be doing? And that's why we've formed combits in the area. We have 5 combits in each section communal, so about 5 different combits of 5 farmers that lead out their team. And they meet with us on a weekly basis where they're getting information on what to do if there is an earthquake, what to do if there is a hurricane. And really, like, because we've formed such a strong, tight-knit group, it allows us to have a lot of confiance, a lot of confidence that if something comes along, where are we going to be meeting? What should we be doing in that sense?
Thank you. So you're confident that the system that you've created could withstand the changes related to climate change in terms of environmental shifts that we can reasonably expect?
Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Good. And let's move on with Evaline. You have a question for Christina?
Yes, I do. Christina, thank you so much. Great presentation. So your project is very ambitious. You have various objectives and activities that you hope to accomplish. And no doubt, the way you've presented it shows that if you're successful in being able to implement this project, that a lot of Haitian lives will be changed. What we're interested in at the Bureau of Humanitarian Assistance are issues of disaster risk reduction and building resiliency, particularly for the most vulnerable communities. So then how, within your project, will you measure or even know for sure that you have changed the lives of those who are most vulnerable?
That's a really great question. How will we know that we have changed the lives of those most vulnerable? The beautiful thing about development work, the beautiful thing about the work that we're doing in HASH is that ever since we got there, through the work that we were doing with the families, to the work that we've done to build the chicken farm, through the work that we've done to just mobilize the community through our leadership academy. We have an academy at HASH called Toussaint Louverture Leadership Academy. People continue to come to us and share with us how their lives have been transformed. Just today, one of our team members came all the way from HASH to like bring lighting and share how much hope at the prospect of this project. So how do I know that their lives are being transformed? Not only will jobs be created, the direct impact of building up this project, we know that we'll employ permanently 25 more people. Within the different combits that we have, there are, at this point, we're impacting about 60 different farmers in the area that are very vulnerable to everything that's been going on in the country, be it earthquake. It's raining right now in Haiti, so I can only imagine what folks are going through right now. So we are doing our best to partner with the group of farmers, partner with our team to be in tune with what they need and respond to it immediately.
Thank you.
Raymond, any no question for Christina?
Sure. Christina, I feel like I'm the judge who keeps thinking about profit here. So, so I want to really understand. Obviously, this model is a new model, right? So I'm interested to know where else has this model been successful, right? In your research, and what does the profitability and long-term success look like?
Could you repeat your question? My internet just got a little bit wonky. I'm trying to change internets, but I wasn't able to hear your question.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Could you please repeat your question?
All right. I just want to make sure you can hear me. Can you hear me now? No?
Hello, Christina.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Christina. Can you hear us? Christina. All right. Apparently, Christina is having technical difficulties, and definitely, I think we lost her. But I hope that won't change the criteria that you're gonna vote for her project, and we're gonna move to the next one right now.
I'm incredibly proud of leading a team right now, the DART, the Disaster Assistance Response Team. And I'm proud that folks have rolled up their sleeves, willing to get out in dangerous situations, flying throughout the country, probably working 16 to 18-hour days, but working together, no complaining. Everybody's just, how do we work, coordinate our efforts with the UN, with the government, with our military colleagues. Currently, we're 97 people. We have medical doctors here as part of the USAR team. We have people whose expertise is in logistics. We have people whose expertise is in health. We have people whose expertise is in shelter. We have people whose expertise is communication. And also we have two folks whose expertise is safety and security to keep the DART safe.
Haiti has approximately 1,000 miles of coastline. If you multiply that by the distance from the shore where the bays and oceans are relatively shallow, say 5 miles, you have 5,000 square miles. This is where Haitians have gone fishing for generations, providing natural protein for the national diet. Now, this shallow water zone has become overfished and the supporting ecology has been severely damaged. The number of fish have dwindled and the size of the fish have decreased, and fishermen's productivity has declined. Fish are now seldom part of the national diet. Half of the population is starving. Fishing communities are poor and distressed, and the shallow water coastal zone is becoming a marine desert. Haitian fishermen are aware of this. They know that shallow water fishing needs a rest, and that likely there are more productive waters further from land, 15 to 20 miles out, in a much larger area than the shallow water zone. We already know that some Haitian boats can navigate beyond the horizon, but most Haitian boats cannot stand the rigors of the deep sea. There are many stories of fishermen being caught in the high waves, storms, and currents, and then lost forever. HRDF and the Aquan fishing community propose to introduce and locally build a fleet of safe and well-equipped deep-sea fishing boats. This will begin with a few that can be tooled up, built, tested, and sent out to sea over the next year with funds from the USAID HRA Diaspora Accelerator Program. Their performance will be compared to the shallow water fishing in a kind of friendly competition. One goal is to add further and deeper fishing to Aquan's economy and diet. Another goal is to generate income from building, selling, and financing these new kinds of boats for use both in Aquan waters and throughout Haiti's 1,000-mile coastline.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Aldi Castor, President of the Haitian Resource Development Foundation, also known as HRDF. Imagine, the year is 1951, 2 children, good friends, playing on the beach in Akin. One child, Lulu, is a fisherman's son. The other, Aldi, a lawyer's son. As it happened, I went abroad to study, became a physician, and in 1987, created HRDF. Lulu became a fisherman like his father. Tragically, at 24, he was lost at sea. If he had a superior boat and water skill, Lulu and others like him might still be alive. Remember, Lulu and the desire to fish better, feed better, is central to our further and deeper project, namely valuing fishermen's lives, increasing their productivity, and bring fish back to Haiti diet safely and affordably. The goal is to catch large fish beyond the horizon rather than the remaining small fish close to shore. We want to leave behind the old and dangerous fishing methods and introduce new boats, equipment, and techniques for new generation of Lulus. Farther and deeper is understood and supported by Akin's fishermen. We have the willingness and the know-how. Tonight, we are pursuing the resources, the big fish. The mission is now to move forward with deep sea fishing. The vision is a fleet of safe boats with skilled crews. The value of full mine, full boats, so that Akin fishermen and residents will have full pockets and full stomach. The market for deep sea fish is large, so further and deeper is feasible. HRDF will implement the project at its modern vocational school, where Haitians will learn to build reliable boats for Haitian fishermen. Further and deeper is profitable and scalable. We will start with a few boats at a time. If the demand for boats increases, the production capacity will increase based on the income from the sales and the growth of the fishermen income. Further and deeper will have a measurable impact with emphasis on new. Among the results will be the building and appearance of new boats in Akin, rigorous training for maximum safety, multi-day sea trial, and the routine catches and sale of more kind of and quantity of fish. Together, this should also reduce hunger. Innovation is the Mama Pemba, the big one of our project, and it will be educational, in creating an academy of nautical skill and deep sea fishing, economic, in affordably building and using deep sea boats to generate income for fishermen and community projects, cultural, in changing from nearshore day fishing to multi-deep sea fishing, ecological, in allowing shallow water fish and ecosystem to recover, technological, in introducing precision tools and modern material to build sturdy boats locally and adopting current safety and communication system. Finally, nutritional, in returning an affordable, high-quality protein to the Haitian diet. The biblical wisdom about teach a man to fish and you feed him for life is used by our team in all projects. In this case, it is about fishing as a career, not a job. It's about mastering the skill and safety of fishing with confidence and dignity, not fear. As HRDF has done in the Greater South for more than 30 years, now we will help a new generation of Lulus to have long, healthy, and productive lives at sea. Thank you.
Wow, very good job, Aldi. Great project, very touching also because of the story that create all this. This is amazing. And I'm pretty sure the judges have a lot of questions for you. We're going to start with Daniela. Daniela, you're always first, so go ahead.
Thank you very much for the honor. Excuse me. So you propose taking farmers to fish in deep waters. We know that fishing in deep waters alters oceanic ecosystems. How will you ensure that your fishing activities will not interfere with the ecosystem and will be sustainable?
No, our model is to teach them out of the shallow water because it is overfished. And if you see the small fish that we are catching now, right now we would like to go to get the pelagic fish in the deeper water. That's why we have to have new boats. That's why we want to create a school, an academy for skill, and also to use new equipment, new material, and so they can go further. A new system on top of it. It's a new system for communication and safety system.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Remo, you're next.
I don't hear you.
Remo?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay. All right.
All right. So my question is if you can provide some additional details on the operating model. So who owns the boat? What is the process to select the fishermen who will go deeper and further? Because I see it as, is there a way that at some point the fishermen can own the boat and for it becoming more of a private ownership system?
Exactly. If I don't know if you had observed or studied the fishermen or the fishing industry in Haiti, the fishermen are the poorest one. They're making less than $100 a month. So our model is to teach them, to take them from $100 to $1,250 a month by going deeper water and catching larger fish. I am an hotel owner, so what I could not get fish in my area to give to my clients, so I have to make that experience, and by going a little bit further, study has shown that we have about $100 million of fish in those Haitian waters. Who are fishing them? You are the people from the Dominican Republic, from Korea, and from Japan that fishing them. So by teaching them how to go a little bit deeper and catching larger fish, so they can make that money, and then buy their own boat. One system that we can see, this is the motorcycle system in Haiti. About 30 years ago, they have a problem of transportation because they opened the market for motorcycle and financing. So the problem was solved. So we can solve the hunger problem and the lack of protein problem, not only in Akim, but in the whole country. If we change the way for the fishermen to fish. Remember, they are the poorest people and they live in the richest area of the country. The fishermen should be rich, not poor. If we can help them, that's why tonight, I come after the big fish, which is the $150,000. To change from charity to development. I have to say something also. Our program is not only to change from charity to development, but from the mountain to the sea. We also have the same program in the mountain. We're doing right now a program. We took some farmers, and we are trying to put it together from the mountain to the sea to combat the disaster. When you have a disaster, all those alluvions go to the sea and kill all those fish. So we cannot see only fishing. We have to see it as a whole and all the chain of value in the system.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Adi. Now it's Evelyn. Do you have a question for?
Yes,
for
I do. Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation and for the touching story about your friend Olu. I have a question, and my question is regarding what's going to happen after you get all these fish. So you propose taking farmers into deeper waters so you can, get more fish. How do you plan to address what happens next after that? Because we know fish is something that's very perishable. It can go bad very quickly. And if do you have a plan for preserving it and making sure it gets to more people and reducing waste?
Yes, we have a plan. They have two ways to do it in our plan. First of all, we can freeze it very quickly, quick freezing. We have a technician in Haiti that innovate. They take containers, and with solar panel, we can freeze those fish right away. The second part, and then we can sell them to the market, in the big market in Port-au-Prince, and at hotels, etc. But the biggest point of it, we can dry those fish, and we dry them, and salt them and dry them. And also in our country, we have a salt mine that's not used. We can't use that to do that. And it's an old way to do it. And a fish that dry can't last for about a year. We had surveyed the so-called the Marchand saga. This is the women that sell fish. They are the one who dry it. So we have an association who has about 10,000 of them who had approached us when we had explained them to the problem. And so they are waiting for that money to start to start selling it all over the country, because in that area, you don't need refrigeration. When you dry that fish, it can stay for at least a year and a half. One story before I leave, before we finish. Right now, my organization, HRDF, is giving food for approximately 500 people every day after the earthquake. And the last time I went over there, I was close to the seaport. And I see all those fishermen, the poorest and the poorest. And they have all that money right there in front of them. And people who are taking them were not Haitian. So let's give them a hand. Let's those new generation of Lulus, like I call them, my friend Lulu, who died at 24 years old. I have been thinking about that for about more than 60 years old. Now I'm 76. I have been talking about them.
Wow.
So
all right.
Let's help them. And let's get out of the charity. Let's make the transition from charity to development, from the mountain to the sea.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Aldi. We're going to have a last question from ETOP, and then so we can move on with the schedule.
Yes, thank you. So my question is, you mentioned that $70,000 will go towards boat upgrading and building boats, but in your presentation and mentioned, I believe, 100,000. So I'm looking to try to find out how many boats will be built or upgraded with the technology needed to deep sea fish.
So first of all, I don't know if you have seen those boats over there. Those boats are canoes. They use them from the Indian before 1492. They're still using them. So far, we're using some few boats that are given by Food for the Poor. Those boats come from outside of the country. So we have we can't use that material. That's why we change it our model. We can change the model and bring the material and let people bring their own boat, because when you bring those boats from outside, it costs so much money. Not only it costs money to transport them, and then you don't create any value, and you don't. There is a advantage on doing that. Not only the economic advantage, but you have the social advantage. You create jobs. You create new. People will not have to get out of Haiti to go to Chile, to go to Brazil, or to go under the Rio. They don't have to do that because we're creating those type of jobs. The other thing is the innovation that we bring to the system. So all those, we can't leave those old way on doing fishing behind and introduce all those new modern technique through innovation.
Perfect. That's good. Thank you very much, Mr. Castor, and good luck. And judges, it's time for you to go on the scoring board. And while the public will wait till midnight to start voting, the voting process will last 5 days till Sunday the 17th, and then we're gonna have the final results next week. We have only one contestant left, so we're gonna take a short break, introduce the contestants, and we will get back for the pitch. Stay tuned.
political and economic instability, public health crises, natural disasters. Sadly, these are among the first thoughts that come to the minds of many when they think of Haiti. Haiti was once labeled the Pearl of the Antilles, a country rich in produce, crops, as well as natural resources for centuries, both prior to and after the country received its independence in 1804. From coffee and rice to yams, mangoes, bananas, Haiti still serves as a contributor to the global trade of important crops. Haiti's volatile political and economic environment have led to insufficient investments in public infrastructure. Approximately 50% of Haiti is without access to sufficient potable water sources. As a result, farming, livestock breeding, local business activity, alongside the country's numerous households, have to live on limited options to provide access to sufficient supply of water. This forces countless individuals to search for water in unsanitary places, contaminated with waterborne diseases, such as typhoid, cholera, and other illnesses. In response to the scarcity, Cmac, a social impact-focused company with land and investments in Jacmel, launched the Cmac Jacmel Water Initiative, a program to enhance local water infrastructure through the creation of 2 cisterns to support local agricultural companies, along with other sectors and local residents. The goal is to construct an above-ground reservoir on site, along with trucks equipped to facilitate distribution. Cmac would help contribute to the region's access to resources for farm irrigation, as well as for livestock and poultry, and provide jobs for the distribution for better quality water. Since its inception, in 2004, Cmac has been devoted to its efforts to making everlasting change in Haiti. From hospitality to housing, Cmac has made strategic investments that have helped contribute to the economy. In these difficult times, Cmac believes that turning its attention to improving access to critical resources and infrastructure helps to solidify Haiti's foundation for growth and hope for tomorrow.
Good evening. My name is Edward Falston, partner and advisor to Cmac. Tonight, we're going to talk about a resource so many of us take for granted: water. Water is indispensable and vital to life. It is a critical and natural resource, yet not available to all in Haiti. Countrywide, only about 50% of households have access to reliable piped water sources. And on top of that, 25% of all water sources have debris or waste to some degree, making quality a concern. Thus, out of the 10,400 households, give or take, in the city of Jacmel, nearly half use tank trucks to procure usable water. In response to this concern, Cmac had launched a logical intervention, the Jacmel Water Initiative. Using cisterns, the initiative addresses water scarcity in the eastern region of the city of Jacmel and serves as a key resource in the area for tank truck distribution, since there are already some water services in the central and western sections of the city. Cmac's water facility has ample supply of groundwater based on its proximity to the Bay of Jacmel, which has been underutilized for water production. Our team is continuously refining the process for extraction of water at a production rate that will meet the needs of local agribusinesses in the region. Our facility is equipped with 2 artesian wells, each measuring 110 feet and 140 feet deep, respectively. Our facility is also connected to an electric pumping system, which is the only of its kind in the region. And we are also in the early stages of exploring rainwater harvesting and solar power in our design. There are 3 existing competitor groups in the market, including government entities who provide access to 50% of the usable water to households and local businesses, as well as NGOs and nonprofits, as well as the numerous private suppliers that exist. But our advantage is that we provide a quality tank truck water source for distribution to support an underserved region of the city. And we have experience working with this local community in the eastern section of Jacmel for quite some time. Cmac was founded in 2004 as a socially conscious impact investment group comprised of a collaboration of Haitian diaspora and local Haitians on the ground, with the mission and ambition to help catalyze economic and social development in Haiti. The vision for the Jacmel Water Initiative is straightforward: provide access to safe water resources at a productive volume. And this effort to improve access to water is part of Cmac's values: community development, quality service, and social empowerment. We've identified 3 market segments, as you can see: the agricultural market, with 75% of the population based in rural parts of the region; local households, where we have the potential to penetrate within those 10,000 households as mentioned earlier, and commercial businesses, with hundreds within the region, most notably those within key sectors, most notably hospitality. In addition to that, we also welcome the opportunity to further support local farmers with access to a portion of our existing 24 acres to grow on our land with water from our site. Our revenue model highlights our current stage of growth. We're in our first phase of development, and at this current production level, we're at 40,000 gallons per day, which can yield a modest $240 per day in revenue. And after expenses for maintenance and staff, we're at a net profit margin of around 14%. Additional funds from operations will be reinvested into the initiative to enhance our capacity, along with capital from Cmac's investors to support any capital campaigns deemed necessary. Lastly, the aforementioned market segments will be acquired through our extensive marketing efforts by our staff across the region. In Cmac's 17 years of existence, through political unrest, natural disasters, and economic turmoil, the organization has been able to navigate the challenging environment in Haiti and acquire the Kathmandu Hotel, along with several sites for development in Jacmel, as well as in Milo in the north. However, it is the local needs that inspired this Jacmel Water Initiative, adjacent to our Belle Reef site, that have actually sparked arguably what's going to be considered our most important venture to date. If selected as the grant award recipient, we've identified 5 core areas in critical need at this time. We would need to apply funds towards a generator for our water pump. We're also looking to replace the existing water pump as well. We're also looking at camera surveillance for our facility, as well as additional office supplies and materials. We're looking to ensure that we have ample salary funding for our staff and 2 trucks to facilitate water distribution. And after the grant infusion, at the next phase of development, we would have plans to expand our well digging with potentially 2 to 3 artesian wells that we would add to the facility. This initiative would not be possible without the financial support of Cmac shareholders, chaired by Dr. Leslie Canizon, but especially without the guidance and vision of Bertrand Destiné, our country director in Jacmel, who oversees coordination with our local engineers, architects, and staff on the ground, as well as our numerous external contractors. As we said in the beginning, water is essential to life. Help us to enhance the lives of those in need in Jacmel. Thank you.
That's it. Good job, Edward. Good job and very nice presentation for a Cmac project. And welcome back, judges. And we're gonna start with. I'm surprised that Daniela is not first that time, but it's fine. We're gonna start with Raymond. Raymond, it's your turn to ask the first question to Edward.
Yeah, I beat Daniela to the punch this time around. So, Edward, obviously providing clean and safe drinking water for agriculture is one of the most funded activities in the NGO world. So I'm curious about what sets you apart from other organizations that are doing the same thing. And then I'm curious if whether or not there's not an opportunity to partner with the public water company, possibly in a government contracting arrangement for greater impact.
We certainly welcome the opportunity for partnerships. We would entertain them without question. I think what works for us is that we've identified scarcity, specifically within the region of Jacmel that we are situated, but we also acknowledge that there's a fierce level of competition across many industries there. But the unique opportunity for us is that even though there are other groups that are providing water, potable water sources, there are still challenges. You still have lines, there's bottlenecks. When you're looking for tank water, there's always a backlog depending on who's ordering the tank truck distribution. So for us, hitting an area where there is scarcity, we may not only just be able to assist those within our region, but we also acknowledge that those coming from other areas will also acknowledge that a new source is available. And between the central and western regions of Jacmel, we know that there'll be an opportunity for us to compete and to bring in new customers from there. But again, to your point before, if there's opportunity to partner, we welcome that with any entity who believes in what we're trying to do.
All right, Jessica.
Thank you, and thanks for the presentation. I'm interested to hear more about the financial sustainability of the project. You've got staff, you've got generators, you've got trucks that will, these are recurring costs, right?
Right.
And so do you anticipate getting to the point where the venture will be self-sustaining? or do you think it will continue to be supported by your other ventures?
It's a very good question. I think what's been part of the resilience of Cmac up until this point has been the commitment from our shareholders. So capital campaigns, especially in Haiti, especially through all the challenges we've had, have been a part of what have been some of the challenges for a number of our projects. That being said, with this initiative, we anticipate if we can get to around 60 to 80 grand, give or take, in the first year, upon which, if we were to receive the grant, that can help to address our pumping concerns. We can get to a level where hopefully within the next year and a half, 18 months, we'd be able to break even essentially. We've put about 105,000, give or take, to date since 2017, since the initiative was conceived. And essentially what we would need to do is be able to build out a revenue that would sustain it once we can get it up and running. So we'd see probably 18 to 24 months if all can certainly go well. And, there are always challenges here and there, but again, we've had resilience and commitment from our board. And that's part of the reason why we know that we can do all that will need to be done if for whatever reason a capital campaign would be necessary. But the model would work such that, again, we'd be able to scale up, especially if we're able to get to a place where we're successful with getting the additional trucks and have the distribution platform in place with clients. I think if we can begin to dig for additional wells, that will help us to further scale and eventually begin to get to a place where we could see some level of profitability.
Got it. Thank you.
Good. All right, Daniela, it's your turn now.
Sure. Thank you, Edward. So as Raymond mentioned, there are many water projects in Haiti. And
absolutely,
my question for you is, as you know, one of the criteria for the DPA projects for the pitches was that the projects engage with local communities or prospective beneficiaries, and so to ensure that they are reflective of the needs and the priorities of these communities. So how was this particular water project that you're proposing, how do you ensure that it is reflective of the specific needs of the beneficiaries that you're targeting?
Given our time in Jacmel, getting to know people both from our staff, from our hotel, to various other programs that we've partnered with and spoke with other groups, we believe in equity across the board in every way possible, which is why during the pitch we had mentioned that within our acreage of land, we want to not only are we refining and building out our facility, but we're also trying to look for opportunities to provide a place for local farmers as well. That's part of what we would be open to also providing as an opportunity for those who would also be looking for a place to grow. So there's a level of equity in what we'd be able to offer to our place, as well as additional employment and staff. We're very amenable and sensitive to those needs to folks in the community. I think that's why we've been able to have some of the longevity that we've had. We've been very attentive and attuned to staff that we've had over time. They've stayed committed, and even in spite of all the challenges we've had, we're still there. We're still standing. And so, if anything, we like to listen to the local community. We listen to our people, and we get their advice, especially since they're on the ground. And so that is part of what we would be able to do. I think continue to listen and do all that we can to give folks opportunities, whether it's working with us or, again, to have access to our site to further their company or their organization.
Thank you.
All right. Itop, it's your turn now, and then we will go to Evaline right after you.
Yes, thank you for the presentation, Edward. Thank you. My question is, you mentioned that the company has a 14% profit margin, basically meaning that every dollar spent, there's 14 cents that is profitable for the company. So out of that, I'm just curious on why the budget only proposed one water pump at $4,000 if the company already has profitability.
That's a good question. I'll be honest, I think there may have been an update that wasn't made for that presentation. I actually have that downloaded as an additional as a different figure. So that was something that we were updating earlier. So candidly, what would actually have to happen is taking all expenses into net profit. We look at both staffing, we look at the cost for the generators, we look at the cost for the excavation, and I think that's part of what goes into that actual number. We'd actually be looking for, in addition to just another water pump for now, I think we think we're going to just need probably to focus on being able to use that for this phase. And then I think as we begin to scale up and looking at the 2 to 3 new wells that we want to add, there may be a need for another pump. Part of the issue with the pump now, I think, is as we've been looking to improve access. Yep, that's it right there for the pump, right? 4,000. Yeah, so as we're looking to improve that number, we may need an additional pump again to further add to our scale. So I guess the answer to your question is it might seem like a small number, but I think what we've been able to do to get to that 14% has been pretty significant. So if we want to scale, we may need to add additional pumps, but from what we're seeing on the ground, that may not be necessary at this time.
Thank you.
All right, Evaline.
Yes, Edward, thank you. You have articulated very well your past successes with various other projects. What we're really interested in is building resiliency also of the most marginalized group. What plans do you have to ensure equity in participation of the most underserved or the most vulnerable people or the most vulnerable members of the community that you intend to implement the project in?
I think that's an excellent question. I think in many cases, the water that we're delivering is going to be supporting businesses that ideally in many instances are going to be able to continue and further their work. So I think if anything, for a number of groups that are working at a subsistence level, the water itself can help them to extend their own sustainability. So for us, we look at it from one end that our product is going to help support those that are also trying to provide opportunities. And on top of that, as we've mentioned before, we stay devoted to everybody that has worked with us over the years. So in any way, shape, or form, as we scale and grow, we want to be able to entertain or open any opportunity for potential additional staff members and folks who want to be a part of this initiative. We're very amenable to those opportunities to be able to provide additional employment. So as mentioned earlier as well, we have been about economic and social development. And so that economic piece is one of the parts where I think it helps to improve equity. Because if you didn't have anything in the past before, an opportunity for a salary or an opportunity to be added to the salary of one of our recipients or one of our clients is one of the ways in which we are directly and, in a sense, indirectly helping to provide impact.
Thank you.
All right. Wow. 5 great projects, 5 amazing contestants, great pitches. In Creole, they will say, "Juju nou gen nan men nou." So I hope that, I know the job is not easy, but I hope that you did your best to really give the score that those projects deserves. Now, public là, même k'ap gade là, merci parce qu'on était branché. Bon, capable voter à partir de minuit jusqu'à dimanche 17. Ou capable aller sur investortank.org/VOTE pour même voter. Please cast your vote because your vote will definitely make a difference pour organisation qui a gagné $150,000 américains. Qui te montre nous encore une fois comment on est capable de voter et puis n'a tourné pour nous bail résultat yo. Et puis bien sûr, on est capable de garder tout en vidéo about the state of agribusiness in Haiti.
To vote, go to investortank.org/vote. Scroll down and check the organization's pitch presentations. Select the best organization, click on the name and click Vote. Enter your email address and click Send. You can check the results after your vote. You can also share it on social media. Only 45% of Haiti's agri-food supply is produced domestically. With more than 11 million people to feed, the country relies disproportionately on imports. From the United States of America, from China, from the Dominican Republic, and from the rest of the world. But Haiti hasn't always been dependent on others for its food. In 1981, food imports represented only 26.1% of total merchandise import. And long are gone the days when the French colony known as Saint-Domingue was a world leader in the production of sugar, coffee, indigo, cocoa, and cotton. During the War of Independence, the plantations went up in smoke. Continuous socio-political instability, recurring natural disasters, lack of agricultural policy, international interference. They all have contributed to prevent a return to prosperity. Still, the Haitian agricultural sector has a very high production potential. The country's agroecological diversity makes harvest possible all year around. The variety of its climate enables the production of off-season vegetables for temperate markets, and favors the cultivation of a diversity of ornamental flowers. Haiti exports mainly coffee, cocoa, essential oils, and especially mangoes. Despite contributing to 68% of the total national employment, only 1 million farmers are engaged in this activity, with an average size of about 1 hectare per farmer. Only 7% of the cultivated area would be irrigated. Less than 5% of rural households have easy access to paved roads. Livestock farming constitutes about 6.4% of GDP. Marine fishing directly employs 54,000 families and thousands of maiden Sarah indirectly. The volume of fishery products corresponds to less than 50% of the country's demand. Around 800 tons per year of fishery products, mainly lobster, octopus, and queen conch, are exported for a value of about $10 million per year. With its agriculture free of harmful chemical products, and enormous potential for the development of vegetable, animal, and fish production. Vast business opportunities in food processing, storage, packaging, and distribution, as well as for agritourism. Haiti has everything to take advantage of the organic trend, and to become the organic breadbasket of the world. The winner of the competition will be the organization which accumulates the most amount of points. The maximum total score is 200 points. 150 points allocated from the Technical Evaluation Committee, TEC, and 50 points allocated from the public voting. The Technical Evaluation Committee will account for 75% while the public vote will count for 25% of the total score. The Technical Evaluation Committee is composed of 5 judges. Each judge will tally their score for each project after each pitch. Scores will be calculated based on 10 key indicators for the project pitch evaluation: assessment and scope of needs, engagement, management, innovation, feasibility, planning, project impact, disaster risk reduction, sustainability, and presentation. Each criterion will receive a score using a 3-point Likert scale: 1 equals disagree, 2 equals neutral, 3 equals agree, for a total score of 30 points. The judges' scores will be tabulated to give the pitch a total score of maximum 150 points. The public will have an opportunity to vote for their favorite project after each virtual pitch event. The voting process will start at midnight after each event and will last 5 days. A score of up to 50 will be included in the final score based on the accumulated vote from the public. Highest vote scores 50. Second highest vote scores 45. Third highest vote scores 40. Fourth highest vote scores 35. Fifth highest vote scores 30. The public score of 50 will be added to the TEC score, 150 points, for a total score of 200. Let's consider two projects, Project X and Project Y. After its presentation, Project X has been given the following scores by the judges. Judge 1, 25, Judge 2, 30, Judge 3, 28, Judge 4, 20, Judge 5, 17. Project X accumulates a total of 120 points. After its presentation, Project Y has been given the following scores by the judges. Judge 1, 20, Judge 2, 18, Judge 3, 27, Judge 4, 25, Judge 5, 26. Project.
Okay, all right. I think we just spent 2 hours listening to those great organizations pitching for the agribusiness competition, pitch competition. But at the same time, we just here to know what about the scoring? Qui est-ce que juge voté? Qui moun qui peut-être pral la première place? Et comment public là pral déterminer ça pral fait là? M'pa fait ton, but remember, voting for the public start at midnight. Après minuit pour arriver dimanche 17 octobre à minuit, en façon justement pour nous capable bail résultat aux semaine prochaine. Et pas oublier, ou capable voter sur investortank.org/vote, nous et tout message en bas écran. Et puis nous encourager toute organisation, quelle que soit place que vous aujourd'hui, pour yo continuer demander moun voter pour yo. Et certain que m'a utiliser page Pamto pour m'inviter moun à voter pour organisation. Ça m'a fait nous tendre 5e place à soir selon critères juge, c'est IIT Levy, qui font un total de 108 points aujourd'hui. Nous faisons bagaille avec toute transparence pour capable voir comment que juge voter pour organisation. Il y a plusieurs critères par rapport à ça. Et total là, c'est 108 points. Première, IIT Levy gagne l'autre quantité de points que la trame dans le public là pour ajouter à 108 points ça. N'a dit gros coquin chaîne bravo à Christina Jean lui qui te font super pitch pour IIT Levy qui yo même dans agriculture et il a essayé de regarder comment capable changer gens moun planter fruits avec légumes dans le pays. 4e place, fourth place is HRDF, Haitian Resources Development Foundation, pour un total de 114 points, 114 points for the organization. Toute transparence, this is how the judges voted. And now it's up to you, dans le public là, pour augmenter points ça pour HRDF qui yo même gen un coquin chain projet dans causer fishing qui c'est by moun opportunité pour yo capable faire l'argent dans la pêche. Third place, it's Calibu avec 120 points. Calibu qui lui-même voulait renforcer agriculteurs en Haïti dans la production café pour exportation. Et bien, comment juge voté? You can see how they voted. And congratulations to Beverly Malbranche de Calibu qui sortit avec troisième place là qu'on y a. Now, it's up to you pour augmenter point Calibu. Deuxième place, second place, right now, is Cmac. Cmac qui lui-même fait dernière présentation et il sorti avec 120 points total de comment juge t'es voté. Félicitations Edouard avec toute équipe là qui eux même voulait vraiment travailler dans causer l'eau dans le pays. 121 points pour Cmac et j'espère que vous-même qui avez regardé, you can go and vote after midnight till October 17 pour changer données ça. And the first place is obvious because we had 5 organizations. And congratulations to Friends of Matinua. Big up Jémy Madouillon qui te font super pitch, qui lui-même voulait changer comment moun yo vive dans Lago Nav. And congratulations. So, there you have it. That was Investor Thing. I'll see you next Tuesday for the second category. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, judges. Thank you, the audience. Bye-bye.